Commander Jake Morrison floated in the control room of Mining Station Alpha, watching the massive drilling equipment tear into the asteroid's surface. To anyone monitoring their activities, this looked like a routine mining operation. The truth was far more dangerous. Jake pressed his hand against the reinforced window and smiled. 3 miles below the surface, thousands of workers were busy hollowing out the entire asteroid. They were not mining precious metals or rare elements. They were building something the galaxy had never seen before. "Commander, we have a problem," said Lieutenant Amy Chen, floating up behind him with a worried expression. "The Galactic Council sent another inspection team. They will arrive in 6 hours. Jake turned around, his face calm despite the news. After 20 years of this secret work, he had learned to handle these situations. "Tell Dr. Carter to activate the false readings. Make sure all construction noise stops immediately, and get our fake mining crews to their positions." The asteroid designated as Mining Site 7 was actually the future warship called Titan's Hammer. For the past 15 years, humanity had been secretly converting asteroids and small planets into massive warships. The project was so classified that only 300 people in the entire human population knew about it. Dr. Lisa Carter worked in the deepest levels of the asteroid, surrounded by technology that seemed impossible. She had spent her entire adult life developing systems that could hide construction on this scale. Her quantum stealth fields could make entire mountains invisible. Her gravity manipulation drives could move objects the size of moons. Her self-building, robots could construct a city in weeks. "Lisa, we need the stealth systems online now." Jake's voice came through her communication device. "Already working on it," she replied, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Give me 10 minutes and this whole asteroid will look completely solid on their scans." The technology Lisa had created was beyond anything the aliens possessed. While the Galactic Council still used primitive fusion drives and metal hulls, humanity had developed ships that could bend space and time. The aliens thought humans were backward and weak. They had no idea what was really happening in the outer solar system. Admiral Ben Rodriguez sat in his command center deep inside the dwarf planet Ceres. Around him, displays showed the progress of 12 different construction sites. Each site was building a planet-sized warship capable of destroying entire fleets. The project had taken 50 years of careful planning and absolute secrecy. "Sir, we have another diplomatic message from the Zilani Empire," reported Captain Steve Miller. "They are demanding answers about our increased mining activities." Ben read the message and felt his anger rise. The Zilani were the most arrogant species in the galaxy. They treated humans like children who needed constant supervision. They had no idea that humanity was preparing to change everything. "Send them the usual response," Ben said. "Tell them we are simply expanding our mining operations to meet council taxation demands." The lie came easily. For decades, humanity had played the role of the weak and primitive species. They had accepted insulting trade agreements and unfair treaties. They had allowed alien inspectors to monitor their activities and limit their technology development, all while secretly building the most powerful weapons the galaxy had ever known. The Galactic Council had made their biggest mistake 50 years ago when they first contacted Earth. Instead of treating humanity as equals, they had immediately classified humans as a developing species that needed guidance and control. They had restricted human expansion beyond the solar system. They had limited human military development. They had demanded tribute payments and resource quotas. What the aliens did not understand was that humans were very good at working together when they faced a common enemy. Every nation on Earth had contributed to the secret project. Scientists, engineers, miners, and soldiers had all worked together with a single goal: to make sure humanity would never be helpless again. Jake watched the alien inspection ship approach through the asteroid's disguised sensors. The ship was typical Galactic Council design: sleek, efficient, and completely predictable. The aliens inside would conduct their scans, take their samples, and file their reports. They would never suspect that they were actually inside one of the most dangerous weapons ever created. "Stealth systems are fully active," Lisa reported. "They will see exactly what we want them to see." The alien ship docked with the fake mining station Jake's team had built on the asteroid's surface. 3 Zalani inspectors came aboard, their tall purple forms moving with typical alien arrogance. Jake met them with a respectful bow and a fake smile. "Welcome to Mining Site 7, he said in the formal tone the aliens expected. "We are honored by your visit." Inspector Zethkol, the lead alien, looked around with obvious displeasure. "Your mining efficiency has decreased by 12% this quarter. The Council expects better performance from human operations." "We apologize for the shortfall," Jake replied, hating every word. "We have encountered some technical difficulties with the deeper excavations." The aliens spent 4 hours examining the fake mining equipment and interviewing carefully coached workers. They never suspected that massive construction was happening just a few hundred meters below their feet. Their scanners showed solid rock, where humanity's greatest secret was taking shape. After the aliens left, Jake returned to the real control center. On the screens around him, he could see the true scope of their work. The asteroid's interior had been completely transformed into a massive weapons platform. Gravity generators, quantum shields, and weapon systems that could destroy planets filled the hollowed-out space. "How much longer do we need?" Jake asked Dr. Carter. 6 months for this one," she replied. "But Jake, we are running out of time. Council surveillance is getting more intense. They are starting to ask harder questions." Jake nodded grimly. Intelligence reports suggested that the Council was planning something big. Some alien leaders were growing tired of treating humanity with even minimal respect. There were rumors of plans to relocate most humans to prison colonies and turn Earth into an alien settlement. "Then we better make sure we are ready," Jake said, looking at the displays showing humanity's secret fleet. 12 planet-sized warships, each one capable of fighting entire alien fleets. The galaxy thought humanity was weak and primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Ambassador Helen Brooks stood on the observation deck of the Galactic Council flagship, watching Earth spin slowly below. The massive alien vessel had arrived 3 days ago with the largest fleet humanity had ever seen. Over 3,000 ships filled the space around Earth, their weapons pointed at the planet's surface. "The Council has made their final decision," said High Chancellor Vextar, the Zalani leader. His purple skin seemed to glow with satisfaction as he handed Helen a data. "Humanity has 48 hours to accept these terms." Helen read the document with growing horror, though she kept her face calm. The terms were worse than anyone had expected. 90% of humanity would be relocated to prison worlds in distant systems. Earth would become a Zalani colony. All human military forces would be dissolved. Any resistance would result in the complete destruction of human civilization. "These terms are unacceptable," Helen said quietly. "My government will need time to consider alternatives." "There are no alternatives," replied Fleet Admiral Marcus Stone of the Corvan Federation. The massive alien warrior looked pleased with himself. "Humanity has been judged unfit for self-governance. This is not a negotiation. It is an order." Helen requested permission to return to Earth to deliver the ultimatum. The aliens agreed, confident that humanity had no choice but to surrender. As her shuttle descended toward the planet, Helen activated a secure communication channel. "This is Ambassador Brooks," she said. "The package has been delivered. Repeat, the package has been delivered." On Earth, President Katie Williams received the coded message in her secure bunker beneath the White House. Around her, the leaders of every major nation waited for her decision. They all knew what the message meant. Project Titan was moving to its final phase. "Admiral Rodriguez," Katie said into her communication device, "you are authorized to proceed with Operation Revelation, 300 miles below the surface of Ceres." Admiral Ben Rodriguez received the order he had been waiting for his entire career. Around him, the command center burst into controlled activity as officers began implementing plans that had been prepared for decades. "All stations, this is command," Ben announced. "Initiate final countdown sequences. All ships prepare for emergence." Throughout the solar system, humanity's greatest secret began to move. On 11 different asteroids and dwarf planets, Massive engines that had been hidden for years started their activation sequences. The planet-sized warships began their journey toward Earth. Commander Jake Morrison felt the vibration through the deck of his ship as Titan's hammer came to life. The artificial gravity systems activated, creating Earth-normal conditions throughout the massive vessel. Weapon systems that had been powered down for security began their startup procedures. "All departments report ready," announced Lieutenant Amy Chen. "We are go for emergence." Jake looked at his crew with pride. These men and women had spent years preparing for this moment. They had lived with the knowledge that humanity's survival depended on their work. Now they would finally see the results of their sacrifice. Dr. Lisa Carter monitored the ship's systems from her engineering station. The quantum stealth fields that had hidden their construction were being replaced by combat-ready shields. The gravity manipulation drives were building power for their first real test. Her life's work was about to be put to the ultimate test. "Stealth field transition complete," Lisa reported. "All systems operating within normal parameters. We are ready for full emergence." Above Earth, the Galactic Council fleet maintained their threatening positions. Fleet Admiral Stone was reviewing the attack plans for what he expected to be a quick and easy conquest. The official human fleet consisted of only 200 outdated vessels. The aliens expected complete surrender within hours. "Admiral Stone," reported his sensor officer, "we are detecting unusual gravitational readings throughout the system." Stone barely looked up from his plans. "Probably just solar activity. These primitive systems are always unstable." The sensor officer looked worried. "Sir, the readings are getting stronger and they seem to be coming from multiple locations." "Ignore it," Stone said dismissively. "Focus on the human fleet positions. I want this over quickly." President Williams addressed the United Earth Assembly in emergency session. The session was being broadcast to the entire planet, but most of humanity had no idea what was really happening. They saw their leaders debating the impossible choice between slavery and destruction. "The Council has given us 48 hours, Katie announced to the Assembly. "We must decide whether to accept their terms or face the consequences of resistance." The debate that followed was carefully scripted. Government leaders who knew the truth argued passionately for resistance, while those who were not informed pleaded for acceptance of the alien terms. The performance was designed to make the final decision seem like a desperate gamble, rather than a carefully planned operation. In space, the alien fleet began detecting more unusual readings. Several ships reported gravitational distortions that seemed to be moving through the solar system. The alien science officers were puzzled, but not concerned. They had never encountered technology that could create such effects. Captain Steve Parker aboard the hidden warship Colossus watched the alien fleet through his sensors. His ship was positioned near Jupiter, still invisible to alien detection systems. Like the other commanders, he was waiting for the final order to emerge. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "the alien fleet is beginning to spread out. They are moving into attack formation." Steve nodded. The aliens were getting impatient. They expected humanity to surrender quickly, and the delay was making them nervous. Soon they would begin threatening to destroy human cities to force compliance. "All hands prepare for emergence," Steve announced to his crew. "After 50 years of hiding, we are about to show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of." Throughout the solar system, 12 massive ships began their final approach to Earth. Each one was the size of a small moon, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. The aliens had no idea what was coming. The countdown to humanity's revelation had begun. The 48-hour deadline expired at exactly noon, Earth Standard Time. Fleet Admiral Marcus Stone sat in his command chair aboard the Council flagship, waiting for humanity's surrender message. Instead, he received something completely unexpected. "Attention, Galactic Council Fleet," came a calm human voice across all communication channels. "This is Admiral Ben Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. The Sol system belongs to humanity. You have 1 hour to leave our space or face the consequences." Stone laughed out loud. The arrogance of these primitive humans was amazing. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let me speak to this fool." "Admiral Rodriguez," Stone said, his voice filled with contempt, "you are outnumbered 15 to 1. Your pathetic fleet cannot hope to match our firepower. Surrender now, or we will destroy every human city on that planet." "Admiral Stone," came the reply, "you are about to learn why that would be a very bad idea." Stone was about to respond when his sensor officer suddenly shouted in alarm. "Sir, massive gravitational distortions detected throughout the system. Something is coming out of stealth." Space itself seemed to ripple and tear around the alien fleet. 12 enormous objects began to materialize from nowhere, each one the size of a small moon. The aliens stared in shock as humanity's secret fleet revealed itself. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Titan's Hammer as his ship fully emerged from stealth. The massive vessel positioned itself directly between Earth and the Council flagship. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency, bringing weapon systems online after decades of hiding. "All weapon arrays report ready," announced Lieutenant Amy Chen. "Shields at maximum power." Jake smiled as he looked at the alien fleet on his displays. For 50 years, these arrogant creatures had treated humanity like children. They had imposed their will through superior numbers and technology. Now they would learn what humans could accomplish when they worked together. "Target the flagship," Jake ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." Dr. Lisa Carter monitored her ship's systems from the engineering deck. The gravity shields she had designed were working perfectly, creating localized distortions in space-time that confused alien sensors. Her quantum armor plating could withstand direct hits from the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. "Engineering to bridge," Lisa reported. "All systems operating at optimal levels. We are ready for combat." Fleet Admiral Stone stared at the impossible sight on his screens. The objects surrounding his fleet were clearly artificial, but they were larger than anything he had ever seen. His science officers were reporting energy readings that should have been impossible. "How many ships do they have?" and Stone demanded. 12 confirmed contacts," his sensor officer replied, his voice shaking. "But sir, these readings can't be right. Each one is showing the mass of a small planet." "That's impossible," Stone said. "No civilization has the technology to build ships that large." "Sir, they are powering weapons," his tactical officer reported. "Energy readings are off the scale." Stone realized that something had gone terribly wrong. These were not the primitive humans his intelligence reports had described. "All ships open fire immediately. Destroy those vessels before they can attack." 3,000 alien ships opened fire simultaneously. The space around Earth lit up like a miniature sun as energy beams, plasma cannons, and missile swarms struck the human vessels. The aliens expected to see the enemy ships destroyed instantly. Instead, their weapons seemed to disappear into nothing. The human ships absorbed the massive attack without showing any damage at all. Dr. Carter's gravitational shielding technology bent space around each vessel, redirecting incoming energy into harmless directions. "Is that the best you can do?" Admiral Rodriguez asked over the communication channel. "Now let us show you what real weapons look like." The 12 planet ships opened fire as one. When their weapons activated, they created artificial stars in the darkness of space. The combined energy output was equivalent to a small supernova, focused into devastating beams that cut through the alien fleet like paper. Captain Steve Parker watched from Colossus as entire sections of the enemy fleet simply vanished. Ships that had taken decades to build were reduced to atomic particles in seconds. The aliens' most advanced shields and armor provided no protection against humanity's new weapons. "Direct hit on enemy Formation 7, reported his weapons officer. 43 ships destroyed. "Continue firing," Steve ordered. "Target their command vessels." The alien fleet tried desperately to retreat, but the human ships were faster. The gravity manipulation drives allowed the planet ships to move through space in ways that defied physics. They could accelerate instantly, change direction without momentum, and appear anywhere they wanted. Ambassador Helen Brooks watched the battle from Earth's surface. The night sky was filled with flashes of light as humanity's hidden fleet destroyed the forces that had come to enslave them. After decades of humiliation and submission, humans were finally fighting back. Ma'am, her aide reported. We are receiving surrender requests from several alien ships. Tell them to contact Admiral Rodriguez, Helen replied. This is a military matter now. Admiral Stone's flagship shuddered under repeated hits. His shields were failing, his weapons were destroyed, and half his crew was dead. Around him, the proud Galactic Council fleet was being systematically annihilated by an enemy they had underestimated completely. Sir, we have lost over 2,000 ships, his surviving tactical officer reported. We need to retreat immediately. Stone looked at the tactical display with growing horror. In less than 30 minutes, humanity had destroyed the largest military force the galaxy had ever assembled. Their weapons were decades ahead of anything the Council possessed. All surviving ships, emergency retreat, Stone ordered. Jump to hyperspace immediately. Less than 200 alien vessels escaped the battle. They carried with them the most shocking news the galaxy had ever received. Humanity was no longer weak and defenseless. The species the Council had dismissed, as primitive, had built weapons that could destroy entire civilizations. Commander Jake Morrison watched the surviving alien ships flee into hyperspace. The battle was over, but he knew this was just the beginning. Word of humanity's true capabilities would spread throughout the galaxy. Some species would seek peace and friendship. Others would see humans as a threat that needed to be eliminated. All ships maintained combat readiness, Admiral Rodriguez announced. This was just the first battle. The real war is about to begin. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had revealed their secret, and there was no going back. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within hours, every major civilization knew that the Galactic Council's largest fleet had been destroyed by the species they considered primitive and weak. The impossible had happened, and the galaxy was in shock. Emperor Vexitar of the Zelani Empire received the report while sitting in his crystal palace on the capital world. He read the message 3 times before accepting that it was real. Over 2,000 ships destroyed, the human homeworld still free, and Fleet Admiral Stone barely alive in a medical bay. This cannot be true, Vexitar said to his advisors. Humans do not possess such technology. Our intelligence reports clearly stated they were decades behind us. Sire, his military commander replied nervously. The surviving ships all confirm the same story. The humans have weapons unlike anything we have ever seen. Ships the size of moons that can destroy entire fleets. Vexitar felt fear for the first time in his long life. If humans could build such weapons in secret, what else were they hiding? His empire had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. Now everything was threatened by creatures he had dismissed as barely intelligent animals. Captain Amy Foster commanded the planet ship Goliath as it traveled through hyperspace toward the Zelani home system. Her mission was simple: demonstrate humanity's new power and convince the aliens that resistance was useless. The journey that would have taken months in old ships was completed in just 3 days. Dropping out of hyperspace now, reported her navigation officer. Space twisted around Goliath as it emerged near the heavily defended Zelani capital. Immediately, hundreds of defense platforms and patrol ships detected the massive human vessel. Warning signals filled the alien communication networks. Attention Zelani forces, Amy broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Foster of the Terran ship Goliath. We come in peace, but we are prepared to defend ourselves if attacked. The Zelani fleet commander stared at his sensors in disbelief. The human ship was larger than their biggest space station. Its energy readings suggested weapons that could crack planets in half. Yet it sat motionless, waiting for their response. Human vessel, the alien commander replied carefully. You are in violation of Zelani space. State your intentions. We are here to deliver a message to your emperor, Amy said calmly. Humanity offers peace to all who accept our right to exist as equals. Those who threaten us will face the consequences. Meanwhile, Captain Steve Parker led a reconnaissance mission deep into Council territory aboard his ship Colossus. His job was to gather intelligence about alien military capabilities and locate any threats to human space. What he discovered was more shocking than anyone expected. Sir, "We have found something incredible," his intelligence officer reported. "Long-range scans are detecting massive construction sites throughout this sector. The aliens have been building their own superweapons." Steve studied the sensor data with growing concern. Hidden bases on dozens of worlds showed evidence of weapons development that rivaled human technology. The Council had not been sitting idle while humanity built their secret fleet. "How long have they been working on this?" Steve asked. "Based on the construction patterns, at least 20 years, came the reply. "They have been preparing for a major war." Steve realized that the battle at Earth was just the opening move in a much larger conflict. The galaxy's established powers would not accept humanity's rise without a fight. They would rally every ally and use every weapon to maintain their dominance. Dr. Lisa Carter worked frantically in her laboratory aboard New Olympus, humanity's flagship. Intelligence reports from the reconnaissance missions showed that the aliens possessed weapons she had not anticipated. Her technology was superior, but not by as much as she had hoped. "We need to accelerate all research projects," Lisa told her team. "The aliens have been preparing longer than we thought. They will adapt to our tactics and develop countermeasures." Her latest project involved harvesting energy from black holes and using it to power weapons that could destroy entire star systems. If the aliens wanted a technology race, humanity would make sure to win it. President Katie Williams addressed the United Nations in a session broadcast to the entire galaxy. Her words were translated into hundreds of alien languages and transmitted across countless worlds. The message was simple, but revolutionary. "Humanity extends the hand of friendship to all civilizations willing to coexist in peace," Katie announced. "We seek trade partners, not subjects. We offer mutual defense pacts, not domination. But make no mistake, we will defend ourselves against any aggression." The speech sent shockwaves through alien governments everywhere. For centuries, galactic politics had been based on the dominance of strong species over weak ones. Humanity was proposing something completely different, a galaxy where all species were treated as equals. Some alien civilizations immediately began sending diplomatic messages to Earth. The Altarian Republic, long oppressed by the Council, offered a military alliance. The Centauri Federation proposed trade agreements. Dozens of smaller species saw humanity as their chance to escape Council domination. But the major powers were not ready to accept the new reality. The Corvan Federation began mobilizing their reserve fleets. The Zelani Empire recalled all their forces from frontier worlds. Even species that had been neutral started choosing sides. Admiral Ben Rodriguez studied intelligence reports from across the galaxy in his command center. The picture they painted was troubling. Humanity had won the first battle, but they had also started a galactic war that would determine the future of civilization itself. "Sir," his aide reported, "we are receiving requests for protection from 17 different species. They want our ships to defend their worlds from Council retaliation." Ben considered the implications carefully. Humanity had the power to reshape the galaxy, but they also had the responsibility to use that power wisely. Every decision would affect billions of lives across hundreds of worlds. "Send a message to all planet ship commanders," Ben ordered. "Begin deployment to strategic positions throughout the galaxy. We are no longer just defending Earth. We are defending the right of all species to live free." The galaxy trembled as ancient powers prepared for war and new alliances formed around humanity's revolutionary ideals. The old order was crumbling, but what would replace it remained to be seen. 1 year after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy looked completely different. The old Galactic Council had collapsed into dozens of smaller factions. Some alien species had joined with humanity, while others prepared for war. The balance of power that had existed for thousands of years was gone forever. Admiral Ben Rodriguez, now promoted to Supreme Commander of all human forces, stood in the command center of New Olympus as it orbited the former Council capital world. The planet below had once been the center of galactic government. Now it was just another world, asking for human protection. "Sir, we have reports from all 12 sectors," his aide announced. "The Terran Accords have been signed by 47 different species. They are requesting our help to establish the new government." Ben nodded as he reviewed the documents. The Terran Accords were humanity's blueprint for galactic peace. Instead of the Council's system where strong species ruled over weak ones, the new treaty created equal representation for all civilizations. Every world would have a voice regardless of their military power or technological development. "What about the holdouts?" Ben asked. "The Corvan Federation is still mobilizing their fleets," came the reply. "Intelligence suggests they are planning a massive attack on human space within the next 6 months." Ben was not surprised. The Corvans were warriors who had built their empire through conquest. They would never accept a galaxy where military might did not guarantee political control. A final confrontation was inevitable. Captain Amy Foster patrolled the outer rim aboard Goliath, her planet ship serving as both protector and symbol of the new order. Her current mission was to investigate reports of slave raids in the Vega sector. Under the old council, such raids had been ignored if they targeted primitive species. "Captain, we have found the raider base," her tactical officer reported. "Long-range scans show at least 50 ships and thousands of prisoners from a dozen different worlds." Amy studied the sensor data. The raiders were using old council technology and operating from a hidden asteroid base. They clearly expected no interference from the authorities, as they had for centuries under the previous system. "All hands, prepare for combat," Amy announced. "We are going to shut down this operation permanently." Goliath emerged from hyperspace directly above the raider base. The criminals panicked when they detected the massive human warship. Some tried to flee while others prepared to fight. None of them understood what they were facing. "Attention, raiders," Amy broadcast. "You are guilty of crimes against sentient life. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." The raiders responded with weapons fire, their most powerful guns striking Goliath's shields. The attacks had no effect on the planet ship's advanced defenses. Amy waited patiently for them to exhaust their ammunition. "Now show them what justice looks like," she ordered. Goliath's weapons fired once. The entire raider fleet and their base vanished in a flash of light that could be seen from neighboring star systems. The freed prisoners were rescued and returned to their home worlds with stories of humanity's swift justice. Dr. Lisa Carter continued her research in the deepest laboratories of the human fleet. Her latest breakthrough involved controlling the fundamental forces of the universe itself. She had learned to harvest energy from dying stars and manipulate the fabric of space-time. "The new weapon systems are ready for testing," Lisa reported to Admiral Rodriguez. "We can now generate artificial black holes and use them as weapons or energy sources. The technology would ensure that humanity stayed ahead of any potential enemies. Even if the aliens developed countermeasures for current human weapons, these new systems would be impossible to defend against." But Lisa knew that technology alone would not guarantee peace. The real challenge was building a galaxy where such weapons would never be needed. President Katie Williams, now serving as the first ambassador of the Terran Accords, traveled between worlds to establish the new government. Her ship was escorted by a planet ship wherever she went, a clear reminder of the power backing her diplomatic efforts. "The vote is complete," her aide announced as they left the Altarian homeworld. "They have agreed to join the Accords and contribute ships to the defense fleet." Katie smiled as she looked at the reports from across the galaxy. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working together. Former slaves were sitting as equals with their old masters. The dream of galactic peace was slowly becoming reality. However, not everyone embraced the changes. The Corvan Federation had spent months gathering allies and building new weapons. Their spies reported that they had developed shields that could resist human energy weapons and ships fast enough to outrun the planet ships. Fleet Marshal Korthak of the Corvan military believed he had found humanity's weakness. The planet ships were powerful but few in number. If he could destroy them quickly with overwhelming numbers, the human threat would be eliminated. "Launch the final assault," Korthak ordered from his flagship. "Every ship, every weapon, every warrior. This ends today." 3,000 Corvan ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of human territory. It was the largest military force assembled since the original Council fleet. The aliens were confident that this time they would achieve victory. They were met by a single planet ship, Colossus, commanded by Captain Steve Parker. "Corvan fleet," Steve broadcast calmly. You are trespassing in Terran space. Leave immediately, or face destruction. One ship against 3,000, Korthak laughed. Humans are even more arrogant than we thought. We tried to warn you, Steve replied. Colossus opened fire, and the Corvan fleet learned why resistance was futile. Dr. Carter's new weapons created artificial black holes that consumed entire formations of enemy ships. Space itself became a weapon as gravity waves tore the alien vessels apart. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the Corvan Federation no longer existed as a military power. The survivors limped home to an empire that would never again threaten galactic peace. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Titan's Hammer as it approached a newly discovered alien civilization on the galaxy's edge. His mission was first contact with a species that had never encountered other intelligent life. "Sir, they are scanning us," his communications officer reported. "Their technology is primitive, but they appear curious rather than hostile." Jake smiled as he prepared to make humanity's introduction to another species. The aliens would see what appeared to be a natural celestial body approaching their system. They had no idea that they were about to meet the guardians of galactic peace. The galaxy had learned its lesson about underestimating humanity. Now it was time to teach new civilizations about cooperation, equality, and the price of threatening innocent life. The age of human dominance had begun, but it would be a dominance built on justice rather than conquest. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if approving of the new order that humanity had brought to the cosmos. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the center of the council chamber, feeling the weight of 1,000 hostile eyes upon her. The chamber was massive, built to accommodate 12 different alien species, each more ancient than humanity could imagine. Above her, the crystalline form of High Counselor Vexthan pulsed with cold blue light. The being had lived for 3,000 years and looked at Chen the way a human might look at an insect. "The human speaks." Vexthan's voice echoed through translation devices. "We shall listen, though your words change nothing." Chen took a deep breath. She had been Earth's ambassador for 5 years now, fighting every day for humanity's right to exist as equals. It never got easier. The other species saw humans as children playing with matches, dangerous and stupid in equal measure. "Honorable Council," Chen began, keeping her voice steady. "Humanity requests permission to establish 3 new colony worlds in the Outer Sigma region. We have surveyed these planets. They are uninhabited and rich in resources. Our population needs room to grow." A deep rumble came from the Korath section. Supreme Marshal Thexvalon rose from his seat, his massive body covered in thick scales that had seen 1,000 battles. The Korath had ruled their empire for 10,000 years. They did not like newcomers. "Denied," Thexvalon's voice boomed. "Humans expand too quickly. You have been part of this council for only 50 years. 50. My species had not yet left our home system in such short time. You demand more and more, always pushing boundaries. This ends now." Chen felt her heart sink, but she kept her face calm. "Marshal, we have followed every rule. We have paid every tax. We have contributed to Council defense forces. What more must we do to be treated fairly?" The crystalline High Counselor pulsed brighter. "Humanity must learn patience. You must learn your place. We have decided. The Council will vote on new restrictions for the human species. You will surrender half your military fleet. You will accept observers on all your worlds. You will stop expanding for the next century." The chamber fell silent. Chen felt ice in her veins. This was worse than she had feared. "You cannot be serious. You are asking us to become prisoners in our own territory." "We are telling you what will happen," Vexthan said. "The vote will proceed. You may leave now, Ambassador. This does not concern you anymore." Chen wanted to scream. She wanted to rage at the injustice. But she was a diplomat. She bowed her head slightly and walked out of the chamber with as much dignity as she could manage. As the doors closed behind her, she heard the voting begin. She did not need to stay to know the result. In her private quarters, Chen activated the secure quantum link to Earth. The face of Admiral James Okonkwo appeared on the screen. The old military man looked tired. He always looked tired these days. "They voted against us, didn't they?" he asked. "Worse. They are voting right now to strip us of our fleet and put observers on every human world. James, they are going to cage us." The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. How long do we have? They gave us 1 Earth week to comply. 7 days to surrender everything we have built. And if we refuse? Chen looked directly at the camera. Then they will use force. Thexvalon made that very clear. They call it correction. I call it war. Okonkwo nodded slowly. I will inform the president. Chen, come home. There is nothing more you can do there. Across the galaxy, on a military station orbiting Mars, Captain Sarah Ramirez watched the news with her command crew. The feed was official now. The Galactic Council had voted. Humanity had 7 days to comply or face military action. They are actually going to do it, her first officer said quietly. They are going to attack us. Ramirez stood up from her chair. Then we prepare. All ships full combat readiness. I want every weapon system checked. I want every shield generator at maximum power, and I want our people ready to fight. Captain, her tactical officer spoke up. We cannot win against the entire Council fleet. They have thousands of ships. We have maybe 300 combat-ready vessels. I know the numbers, Lieutenant, Ramirez said sharply, but we are not going to surrender. If they want our freedom, they will have to kill us to take it. Deep in a secret research facility on Europa, Dr. Yuki Tanaka stared at rows of weapon systems that humanity had promised never to build. They were weapons banned by galactic law, weapons that the Council species found horrifying and barbaric. But humanity had built them anyway, hidden away just in case. Doctor, her assistant said nervously, we just received the activation codes. Protocol Ragnarok is now live. Tanaka felt sick. She had hoped this day would never come. These weapons were designed for one purpose only, total war. No mercy, no limits, no rules. She thought about her daughter, safe at home on Earth, playing in the garden. She thought about all the children across human space who deserved to grow up free. Begin the deployment sequence, she said quietly. If they bring war to our doorstep, we will show them what war truly means. 7 days passed like a countdown to doomsday. The Council gave humanity chance after chance to surrender. Each time, Earth's answer was the same. No. On the 7th day, Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the UNSC flagship Indomitable, Captain Ramirez at his side. They watched the sensor screens with grim expressions. The entire human fleet had gathered near Earth. Every ship they had ready for the impossible fight ahead. Admiral, the sensor officer called out. Slipspace ruptures detected. Multiple signatures. Thousands of them. The view screen lit up with warnings. One by one, the ships of the Galaxy fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. They came in waves, each wave larger than the entire human fleet. 10,000 warships from 12 different species all converging on human territory. Supreme Marshal Thexvalon's face appeared on every communication screen across human space. The old Korath looked almost sad. Humans of Earth, he began, you have refused the wisdom of the Council. You have chosen pride over peace. Your species is too dangerous to be allowed to continue on this path. By the authority of the Galactic Council, I hereby sentence humanity to correction. Your civilization will be reduced to a pre-industrial state. Your weapons will be destroyed. Your ships will be scrapped. Your colonies will be abandoned. This is mercy. We could choose extinction, but we are not monsters. Surrender now and casualties will be minimized. Resist and you will be crushed. The transmission ended. For a moment, there was total silence across the human fleet. Then Admiral Okonkwo spoke. His voice broadcast to every human ship, every human colony, every human listening across the stars. All ships, battle stations. Today they learn what humans are made of. Today we show them that we will never kneel. Today we fight for our freedom or we die trying. For Earth, for humanity, for our future. The Galaxy fleet began its approach. Humanity's tiny fleet moved forward to meet them. The first shots would be fired within the hour, and nothing would ever be the same again. The first missiles struck the outer colonies without warning. On New Perth, a mining colony of 2 million souls, the sky turned red as orbital bombardment began. The colonists had 12 minutes to reach the shelters. Most did not make it. Captain Sarah Ramirez watched the sensor feed from her ship and felt rage burning in her chest. They are targeting civilians first, her tactical officer said, voice shaking with anger. The mining stations, the agricultural colonies. They are killing everyone. They want to break our will, Admiral Okonkwo's voice came through the fleet channel. They think if they hit us hard enough, fast enough, we will beg for mercy. All ships engage defensive pattern Delta. Protect what we can. The human fleet split into defensive groups rushing to intercept the Council forces. But the numbers were impossible. For every human ship there were 30 alien vessels. The Council had brought overwhelming force and they used it without hesitation. Ramirez's ship, the UNSC Indomitable, led a squadron toward a Korath battle group that was heading for the Mars shipyards. Mars was humanity's greatest military production facility. If it fell, humanity lost its ability to build new ships. All weapons, fire at will, Ramirez commanded. Target their flagship. The Indomitable unleashed everything it had. Railguns fired solid slugs at incredible speeds. Missiles streaked across space, leaving trails of light. Energy beams cut through the darkness. The Korath flagship's shields flared bright blue as it absorbed the attack. Then it fired back. The return fire was devastating. Korath plasma weapons, refined over 10,000 years of warfare, punched through the Indomitable's shields like they were paper. Ramirez grabbed her chair as the ship shook violently. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12.
Shield generators failing.
We cannot take another hit like that. Around them, human ships were dying. The cruiser Valiant exploded in a ball of fire. The destroyer Hawk broke in half, its crew venting into space. The frigate Damascus tried to ram a Korath ship in a desperate final act, but was vaporized before it could reach its target. All ships fall back, Okonkwo ordered, his voice heavy with grief. We cannot hold this position. Retreat to Rally Point Gamma. Mars shipyards initiate self-destruct protocol. Do not let them take it intact. Ramirez wanted to argue, wanted to stay and fight, but she knew the Admiral was right. They were being slaughtered. The surviving human ships turned and ran, using every trick they knew to escape. Behind them, the Mars shipyards exploded in a series of massive blasts, taking a dozen pursuing Korath ships with them. On Earth, billions of people watched the sky with terror. The Council fleet had reached orbit. Ships the size of cities hung above every major population center. Then the bombardment began. New York vanished in nuclear fire. Tokyo, London, Mumbai, São Paulo, all burning. The defense satellites fought back, but they were swept aside like toys. Luna Base, humanity's oldest off-world settlement, went dark as enemy troops stormed through the corridors. In underground bunkers, President Maria Santos watched the death toll climb. 3 billion people dead in 48 hours, 3 billion souls gone in the blink of an eye. She felt numb, disconnected from reality. This could not be happening. This could not be real. Madam President, her military advisor said quietly, we are receiving surrender requests from 17 colony governors. They want to stop the killing. Santos looked at him with hollow eyes. Tell them to do what they must to save their people. I will not order anyone to die needlessly. And Earth, Madam President, the Council is demanding your personal surrender. They want you to broadcast a message telling all humans to lay down their arms. Santos stood up slowly. She walked to the window of the bunker, looking at a screen showing the devastated surface above. The planet she loved, the home of humanity, was burning. No, she said simply. We do not surrender. Not while I draw breath. In the asteroid belt, the surviving human fleet regrouped. Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the damaged Indomitable, counting his losses. Of 300 ships, only 83 remained combat-capable. They faced an enemy of 10,000. Admiral, Captain Ramirez approached him, her uniform torn and blood-stained. What do we do now? We cannot fight them head-on. We cannot protect our colonies. Earth is under siege. We have lost. Okonkwo turned to look at her. The old man's eyes were hard as steel. We have not lost, Captain. We have only just begun to fight. Sir, I do not understand. We are beaten. Our cities are in ruins. Billions are dead. How can we possibly... They think they have won, Okonkwo interrupted. They think we will surrender now. They think this is over. But they made a mistake, Captain. A fatal mistake, and what mistake? They left us alive. They should have killed every last human in the first strike. They should have destroyed us completely. Burned every world, killed every person. But they tried to be merciful. They tried to follow their rules of war. Now they will learn that humans do not play by rules. He activated his command console and entered a long sequence of codes. Across human space, hidden facilities came online. On Europa, Dr. Yuki Tanaka watched as weapon systems powered up. In deep space caches, automated systems began moving toward their targets. On occupied colony worlds, resistance cells received activation orders. Initiate Protocol Ragnarok, Okonkwo said clearly. Authorization Okonkwo. Alpha 77 Delta. All systems activate. God help us all. On the occupied colony of New Perth, a Korath patrol moved through the ruins of the city. The soldiers were bored. The fighting was over. Humans had proven to be weak, easily defeated. One of the soldiers kicked at debris looking for anything valuable. Then the ground beneath them exploded. Buried human mines, activated remotely, tore the patrol apart. Before the Korath could react, human guerrillas emerged from hiding, firing weapons, throwing grenades, then disappearing back into the ruins. This happened on 100 worlds simultaneously. In orbit above Earth, a Council medical ship suddenly lost all power. Then another. Then 5 more. The ships went dark, floating dead in space. Human hackers, using programs developed in secret over years, had infiltrated the Council's computer networks. They were not trying to destroy the ships. They were trying to create fear and confusion. It worked. Supreme Marshal Thex Valon stood on his flagship, reading reports with growing disbelief. Humans were attacking everywhere at once. They were not fighting like soldiers. They were fighting like cornered animals, using tactics that the Council found shocking and barbaric. Suicide attacks, chemical weapons, biological warfare, computer viruses, booby traps in their own cities. These humans are insane, his second-in-command said with horror. They have no honor. They do not follow the rules of war. Dexevalon felt something he had not experienced in centuries: uncertainty. They do not care about honor. They only care about survival, and that makes them far more dangerous than we realized. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Okonkwo watched the reports flow in. Human counterattacks were causing chaos among the Council forces. It was not enough to win. Not yet. But it was enough to make them pause. Enough to make them doubt. He turned to address his remaining fleet. They came here thinking they would teach us a lesson. They came here thinking they were superior. Now we teach them something. We teach them that humanity does not surrender. We teach them that attacking Earth was the worst mistake they ever made. And we teach them that from this moment forward, this is total war. No mercy, no rules, no surrender. We fight until we win or until we are extinct. Are you with me? Every single officer on every remaining ship answered as one. Yes, Admiral. Then let us show them what humans are truly capable of. Prepare for Operation Vendetta. We strike at their supply lines, their colonies, their homeworlds. If they want war, we will give them war like they have never seen before. As the human fleet prepared to move, a message went out across all human frequencies. It was simple, direct, and terrifying in its promise. If they wanted us extinct, they should have finished it. Now it is our turn. The Council forces thought they had won. Supreme Marshal Thexavalon ordered his fleet to consolidate their positions. Secure the conquered human colonies and prepare for final occupation of Earth. It was a routine operation, the kind his species had performed 1,000 times before. Conquer, occupy, integrate. Simple. Then humanity showed them how wrong they were. The first convoy never reached its destination. 20 supply ships carrying food, medicine, and equipment for occupation forces simply vanished. No distress calls. No wreckage, just gone. Search teams found the ships 3 days later, drifting in space. Every Council soldier aboard was dead, killed by a colorless, odorless gas that had been pumped through the ventilation systems. The human crew had all escaped in the life pods. They killed prisoners? Thexvalon said with shock. We treated those human crew members well. We followed the rules of war. His intelligence officer looked uncomfortable. Marshal, the human crew were not prisoners. They volunteered. They knew the gas would kill everyone. They sacrificed themselves to destroy our supplies. Thexvalon stared at the report. What kind of species killed themselves just to hurt the enemy? What kind of madness was this? The attacks continued and escalated. On the occupied colony of Theta 5, Council forces settled into their garrison. That night, the entire water supply was poisoned. Not fatally, but enough to make every soldier violently ill. While they were sick and unable to fight, human resistance fighters struck, stealing weapons and equipment before vanishing into the wilderness. On Zeta Station, a seemingly friendly human janitor spent 3 months cleaning Council facilities. Then one day, he walked into the command center and detonated explosives hidden in his cleaning cart. He died, along with 30 Council officers. The station's command structure collapsed overnight. Captain Sarah Ramirez led a strike force of 15 small ships against a Council fuel depot. They did not fight fair. They disguised their ships as debris, drifting close to the depot before powering up and firing at point-blank range. The depot exploded, taking 47 council ships with it. Ramirez's force lost 3 ships, but she considered it an excellent trade. The council species were horrified by human tactics. The Vexithari, crystalline beings who valued logic and order above all else, could not understand the chaos humans created. The elegant seraph, who fought with honor and nobility, found human methods disgusting and barbaric, but most disturbing were the weapons humans used. Dr. Yuki Tanaka had spent years developing weapons that the Galactic Council had banned as too horrible for civilized warfare. Now she unleashed them without hesitation, nanomachines that could dismantle metal at the molecular level, turning ships into dust. Bioweapons designed specifically for each council species, non-lethal but incapacitating. Computer viruses that could infiltrate any system, no matter how secure. The Vexithari suffered most from the computer attacks. As a networked species that shared a collective consciousness, they were vulnerable to digital warfare. Human hackers found ways to inject false information into their network, causing confusion and panic. Some Vexithari began seeing hallucinations, their crystalline minds unable to distinguish real data from fake. "This is not war," High Counselor Vexithon complained to Thexvalon. "This is terrorism. This is barbarism. Humans do not fight with honor." "No," Thexvalon agreed grimly. "They fight to win, and they are very good at it." Admiral Okonkwo studied the tactical maps with satisfaction. The council fleet was bleeding from 1,000 small cuts. They had the numbers, they had superior technology, but they did not have the will for this kind of fight. They were used to quick, clean wars between civilized species. They were not prepared for an enemy that refused to quit, refused to follow rules, and refused to value their own lives above victory. "The convoy system is working," Ramirez reported. "Every council supply line is under constant attack. Their forces on occupied worlds are running low on everything." "Good," Okonkwo nodded. "Continue the harassment. I want them paranoid and exhausted. I want them to fear every shadow. Now let us discuss Operation Hellfire." He pulled up a star chart showing the Korath supply nexus at Kragnar Station. It was the main hub for the entire invasion force, a massive station orbiting a gas giant, heavily defended by hundreds of ships and thousands of defense platforms. "We cannot take it in a straight fight," Ramirez said. "We do not have the firepower." "We are not going to fight it," Okonkwo smiled coldly. "We are going to destroy it, Dr. Tanaka, if you please." Tanaka stepped forward, displaying schematics for a weapon that made even the human officers uncomfortable. "We call it a quantum-compressed fusion device. Essentially, it is a hydrogen bomb compressed to the size of a baseball using quantum manipulation. The explosion is significant." "How significant?" someone asked. "It will destroy everything within 10,000 kilometers. The station, the defense platforms, every ship in the area. Nothing will survive." "How do we deliver it?" Ramirez asked. "Their sensors will detect any ship carrying a weapon that powerful." "We do not use a ship," Tanaka said. "We use a person." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what she meant. "A suicide mission." "I will do it," a young lieutenant spoke up immediately. "My family died on New York. I volunteer." "So do I," another officer said. "My children were on Luna base." Within minutes, 30 officers had volunteered. Okonkwo felt pride and sorrow in equal measure. This was what humanity had become, willing to sacrifice everything for survival. "Lieutenant Chen," he chose a young woman with fierce eyes. "You will have this honor. May your sacrifice save millions." 3 weeks later, Lieutenant Maria Chen piloted a small civilian shuttle toward Kragnar Station. She broadcast distress signals claiming engine failure. The Korath, following their protocols for handling civilians, allowed her to dock for repairs. They never detected the quantum device hidden in her body, surgically implanted and shielded. Chen walked through the station, marveling at its size. Thousands of council soldiers moved through the corridors, confident in their victory. She felt no hatred for them. They were just following orders like soldiers everywhere. But her family was dead, and humanity needed to survive. She reached the station's main reactor level and activated the device. She had 10 seconds. She used them to look at a photo of her parents killed in the bombardment of New York. "For Earth," she whispered. The explosion tore reality apart. Kragnar Station, 2,000 council ships and 300 defense platforms ceased to exist. The shockwave could be detected 3 star systems away. It was the largest single loss the Council forces had suffered in the entire war. Supreme Marshal Thexvalon watched the tactical display in his command center as Kragnar's signal simply vanished. Gone. 2,000 ships, tens of thousands of soldiers gone in an instant. And he knew how it had happened. A human suicide bomber. What kind of enemy does this? He said to no one in particular. What kind of species values death over surrender? His second-in-command had no answer. None of them did. They had fought hundreds of wars, conquered dozens of species, but they had never encountered anyone like humans. Most species, when faced with overwhelming force, surrendered. That was logical. That was rational. That was civilized. Humans were not civilized. Not by Council standards. They were wild, unpredictable, and absolutely terrifying when cornered. Reports flooded in from across Council space. Human raiders were striking deep into their territory now, hitting targets light years from Earth. A human strike force destroyed a Seraph colony ship carrying 1 million civilians. When the Council complained about the attack on non-combatants, Admiral Okonkwo's response was broadcast across the galaxy. You bombed our cities. You killed our civilians. You started total war. Now you complain when we fight back using your own tactics? This is war, real war, not your civilized games. We will use every weapon, every tactic, every strategy to survive. If you do not like it, you should have left us alone. The Council species began arguing among themselves. The Seraph wanted to withdraw, calling the war unwinnable. The Vexthari demanded the complete extinction of humanity as the only safe solution. The smaller species were quietly pulling their forces back, unwilling to sacrifice more for what seemed like a losing cause. Only the Korath remained committed. Thexvalon would not admit defeat. Could not admit defeat. His species had never lost a war in their entire history. He would not be the first marshal to fail, but even he was beginning to understand the truth. Humanity could not be conquered, not unless the Council was willing to kill every single human, burn every human world, and commit complete genocide. And even then, he was not sure they could succeed. Humans were too spread out, too stubborn, too willing to die rather than submit. On Earth, in the ruins of what had once been Geneva, Admiral Okonkwo stood with Captain Ramirez and Dr. Tanaka. They looked at the devastated planet, at the billions of graves, at the scars that would take centuries to heal. We are winning, Ramirez said quietly. The Council is losing their will to fight. Yes, Okonkwo agreed. But at what cost? We have become monsters to defeat monsters.
What happens when this is over?
What will we be? Tanaka had no answer. None of them did. They had done terrible things to survive, things that would haunt humanity forever, but they would survive. That was all that mattered now. We finished this, Okonkwo said with finality. The Galaxy fleet was dying. Not from one massive battle, but from 1,000 small wounds that would not stop bleeding. Every day brought new reports of attacks, sabotage, and casualties. The Council species had never experienced war like this before, and their unity was fracturing under the pressure. In the Council chamber, arguments raged. The Seraph ambassador stood with her wings spread wide, a gesture of extreme agitation among her species. We must negotiate, she insisted. This war cannot be won. The humans will fight forever. They do not care about losses. They do not value their own lives. How do we defeat an enemy like that? We destroy them completely. High Counselor Vexthon's crystalline form pulsed red with anger. We should have done this from the beginning. Total extermination. It is the only way. And become the monsters we claim they are? The Seraph shot back. My people will not participate in genocide. We withdraw our forces immediately. If the Seraph withdraw, so do the Lixian, another ambassador announced. Our casualties are unacceptable. We joined this council for protection, not to die fighting mad humans. Supreme Marshal Thexvalon listened to the chaos with growing frustration. His own species, the Korath, had lost more than half their fleet. The military machine that had conquered a quarter of the galaxy was being beaten by a species that barely had faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. But the worst news was yet to come. Marshal, his intelligence officer, approached nervously. We have reports from deep space scouts. Human ships. New designs. Dozens of them heading toward our positions. New ships? How? We destroyed all their shipyards. We destroyed the ones we knew about, sir. Apparently, humans have been building secret construction facilities for years. And these ships? You need to see this. The tactical display showed the scans of the new human vessels. They were larger than anything humanity had built before, sleek and deadly looking. But what made Thexphalan's blood run cold were the readings. The shields were stronger than Korath shields. The weapon system showed energy signatures that matched Council technology but improved. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "We believe humans have been stealing our technology for their entire time in the Council," the officer explained. "Every treaty, every meeting, every diplomatic exchange was a chance to copy our designs. And they did not just copy, sir. They made it better." Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the first human dreadnought, the Vengeance. Behind him, 49 sister ships waited in formation. They were humanity's masterpiece, born from desperation and genius. Every system was an improvement on stolen alien technology. Faster engines, stronger shields, deadlier weapons. "All ships, this is Okonkwo," he broadcast to the fleet. "For months we have bled. For months we have died. For months we have fought against impossible odds. Today we stop running. Today we stop hiding. Today we show them what happens when you try to destroy humanity. All ships full attack speed. Target? Korath Home Fleet." Captain Ramirez, now commanding her own dreadnought Retribution, felt her heart race. They were going to attack the Korath homeworld itself. It was insane. It was impossible. It was perfect. The human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading straight into the heart of Korath space. When they emerged, they found the home fleet waiting. Over 3,000 ships defending their ancient homeworld. The Korath commander broadcast a warning. "Human vessels, you are outgunned and outnumbered. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Okonkwo's response was to open fire. All 50 dreadnoughts unleashed their weapons simultaneously. The difference from previous battles was immediately obvious. Korath shields, which had easily deflected human weapons before, now flickered and failed under the improved firepower. Ships that had seemed invincible began taking damage. "What is happening?" the Korath commander shouted. "Our shields should hold against their weapons." But they did not hold. Humanity had learned the shield frequencies during years of studying Council technology. They had learned the weaknesses, the gaps, the vulnerabilities. Now they exploited everything. The Vengeance charged